Shalom, everybody. Welcome back to Insights in the Parsha of the Week based on Rabbi Nachman's teachings, Parshat Tavo. We're going to go into the part of the Torah which talks about what's going to happen when the Jews cross the Jordan River. They're commanded, this is like in chapter 27, Parshat Tavo, from about verse 1, from the beginning of that section of chapter 27. So Hashem commands Moshe that when the Jews cross the Jordan, they are to carve out 12 stones and have them erected in the Jordan River, and then take out another 12 stones from the Jordan River, and eventually to make them into an altar on Mount Eval, Har Eval. Har Egrizim, Har Eval, are where, in this week's Parsha also, the 12 tribes are placed half on one mountain, half on the other, and in the middle are placed the Kohanim, the Leviim, and the Ark, and they announce blessings and curses. And in that period, the Parsha talks about them doing sacrifices on these 12 stones, and then to inscribe the entire Torah written in 70 languages. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay? It says, let's take a look at verse 4. And it'll be when you pass the Jordan River, you should place these stones, which I'm commanding today, Behar Eval, on Mount Eval, you have to coat them, paste them with seed, limestone. And using these stones, that's how the Gemara interprets this in Sota, page 32a. You shall erect there an altar to Hashem your Lord. Mizbach avanim lo tanif aleim barzel. These are not chiseled with metal. They had a special type of a worm that did all the cutting for them. Avanim shlemot tivne mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Right, make sure they're complete stones that you make for the altar for Hashem your Lord, and you shall sacrifice on them halita alav olot l'Hashem Elokecha. You'll make burnt offerings in honor of Hashem your Lord, v'zavachta shlamim, and also peace offerings, v'achata sham, and you'll eat there on Mount Eval, v'samachta lifnei Hashem Elokecha, and you'll be happy and rejoicing before Hashem your Lord. And then it says right after that, v'chatavta al havanim et kol divrei Torah hazot ba'er hetev, verse 8, and then you should write on these stones all the words of this Torah ba'er hetev, clearly. Ba'er, a good clarification. So Rashi explains, what is ba'er hetev? B'shiv'im lashon. They wrote the entire Torah that they were given until that point, of course, in 70 languages. So the commentaries, the Tosfot Yom Tov, the other commentaries that don't come to mind at the moment, they say there were tons of miracles. The Ramban, Nachmanides, said the entire Torah was written. Some say no, the 613 mitzvot were what were recorded, but in truth, it was the entire Torah. That's what the Ramban says. And the miracle is that they were all done in one day. They wrote 70 languages, and in their format, like if it was Chinese, whatever, in the language, the style of how they write, that's how it was written. Phenomenal, absolutely fascinating. Okay. So the question is, why all this? Since when and the commentators say, who are writing the 70 languages for? In order to teach the nations the Torah, that they should have it accessible in the languages. Since when do we teach? It's a question I asked myself. Since when do we teach a non-Jews Torah? Are we allowed to openly teach Torah like that? But here there seems to be an opening that this is done. What's going on here? Why they need also to translate the Torah into 70 languages? What's the purpose? So, first of all, the Torah said earlier in the verses that Hashem wants us to offer sacrifices and to be happy. And with that simcha, that which is in verse 7, through that simcha, then I want you to write the Torah in the 70 languages. As if to say that the simcha that the Jews were to reach at Mount Eval, there was many reasons to be happy. That they entered the Holy Land, that's the greatest joy that they had. And that they were going into a covenant with Hashem. That's what the purpose of the curses and the blessings on Mount Eval were for. And through that simcha, the ability now to have the Torah, the idea of it being translated to 70 languages, is that no matter where a Jew will fall, no matter where a holy spark will fall, into any of the 70 languages, which includes the attributes, the midot of the 70 languages, no matter where a person has fallen, the Torah can reach even up to him and wake him up and bring him back. Even if the Torah has been technically translated into another language, which means also the expressions of that nation, if it's English, Spanish, French, whatever, is in the language, and when Torah is expressed in that language, it does have some type of alternation to adapt to the translation of that nation, still the Torah can reach and penetrate even that far. Why? Because the Torah, Rabbi Nachman teaches in another lesson, lesson 2, part 2, that the Torah has truth in it. Truth, when a person has emet, the truth begins to express itself in a person's speech, a person's prayer, a person's davening, a person's learning. Everything is influenced by the truth, because the truth of the Torah bypasses everything. There's something fascinating in that when a person is so connected to truth, so he speaks from that point, and people connect to his words because they're coming from such a pure place that there's no alteration and no illusions and no distortions. It's coming from such an amazing clear place that it can get to a person. So too, the idea of the Torah being translated to 70 languages is that the truth of the Torah cannot be manipulated and altered and changed or whatever and disrupted. It can get the point across even in any language, and even in the ofi, the expression and the attitude of the people who have that language, it cannot change the truth of the Torah. This is the idea of having the Torah translated into 70 languages. But the prerequisite is simcha, because the verse said in verse 7, "V'samachta lifnei Hashem Elokecha," and only once the Torah says you'll be happy, then you can do this act of translating. And like we said, there were supernatural miracles here, that in one day they translated the whole Torah in 70 languages, and they chiseled it out, etc. It's, these are, the commentaries say miracle upon miracle happened here. But all this in order to show that the radiance of the Torah, which is truth, cannot be changed, and it can go to the deepest and farthest places in the creation and still radiate its truth even there, and to wake up and bring back people also back to them. So this is the idea of the Torah being translated to 70. 70 nations correspond to also the 70 facets of the Torah. Also, 70 is Gematria Sod, that the secrets of the Torah is related to number 70. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, the holy sparks that are trapped in all the attitudes of the 70 nations contain within them secrets of the Torah, so that when these sparks do come back, they add an extra dimension on the vitality and the shining of the truth of the Torah, because of where it came from such a far place and is coming back. So we should be zoche through the Torah, and learning the Torah. Rabbi Nachman emphasizes with truth, and the only way to come to this truth, he says, is by giving thanks to Hashem, which is an attitude of simcha. When a person has a positive attitude, Hashem gives him as a gift the ability to access truth in his Torah, in his speech, and that truth shines anywhere. No matter where that person is, that truth is shining and can activate light and release whatever is stuck in those areas and bring them back. Shabbat Shalom Umvorach.